Welcome to another Agri-Epicenter Seedling Session. These Seedling Sessions offer an opportunity to all Agri-Epicenter members to showcase and share their technology or offering, discuss a current topic, and enthuse and encourage collaboration. As our video and audio library of the very best in agri-tech innovators grows, you'll be able to listen back at your leisure. We'll be announcing the details of all upcoming sessions on the Agri-Epicenter member group LinkedIn page, as well as our website, agri-epicenter.com. If you've not yet signed up to the members LinkedIn, please send us a request via LinkedIn to join or email us at members@agri-epicenter.com. Well, today I'm talking to Sam from AgRecruit. Hi, Sam. Sam's founder and CEO. How did you get into recruitment, Sam?
How did I get into recruitment? Well, we're going back about 9-10 years here. Quite a long time for a recruiter, and sort of fell into it in a way, really. And you know, I'll be the first to say that my background is not a traditional farming or agri background or anything like that. I'm an example of someone who's come into the sector from the outside. So my background is in tech recruitment. That was where I applied my trade for a number of years. And here I am now running a recruitment business with a specific focus on the agri-tech sector.
So why did you focus on the ag-tech sector, and what's your vision for AgRecruit? So
in terms of the focus on the agri-tech sector, as I mentioned, my background is really in tech recruitment rather than anything traditionally agriculturally focused or farming. Now, about 4 or 5 years ago, this is with a company that I used to work with. I started working with a couple of companies in the agri-tech space, and that just opened up my eyes really to the massive potential of this sector. Not only that, but the fact that as the agri-tech sector was growing, there was potentially going to be a need for an array of roles that aren't traditional agriculturally focused roles, software specialists, data and AI wizards, that kind of thing. So there might be a need for somebody with my sort of skill set in the agri-tech sector, i.e. somebody with tech recruitment skills. This coincided with a point in my career really, and I think a lot of people get to this stage whereby I was really hitting a crossroads with regards to wondering, do I just want to do recruitment as a means to an end forever, or do I want to do something a little bit more meaningful? So this all sort of happened at the same time. I decided, you know what, I want to work in a more meaningful sector. I'm going to throw all my efforts into the agri-tech world. Before I knew it, it was pretty much all that I was doing. Again, this was still with the company that I used to work with. And then 2 years ago, I bit the bullet. I thought, you know what, I'm going to focus all of my efforts into growing and establishing a recruitment business, AgRecruit, with a specific focus on the agri-tech sector and focusing solely on that world. In terms of our vision, as time's gone on, the type of roles that we recruit for has got more and more varied within the agri-tech sector. So we've still got the tech recruitment expertise, but we also do quite a lot of recruitment for sales roles, leadership positions, roles that have more of an agri slant to them. So we are conveying ourselves as a recruitment business who can help agri-tech companies no matter what your recruitment needs are. So if it's a software developer, great, we can help with that because we have a foot in the tech camp. If it's a sales manager with a agricultural background, we can help with that as well because we've built up those networks in the last 5 or 6 years. So the aim is to become the company that agri-tech companies know they can come to for all of their recruitment needs, essentially, no matter what they are. Also, lastly, on the vision side of things, whilst we would never claim to be revolutionaries, there are many other companies doing bigger, better, more exciting things than us out there in terms of revolutionizing the agri sector. We want to get to the point where we feel like we're playing our part in helping the agri sector along, helping the agri-tech sector along, you know, and doing our small bit in terms of bringing the talent into this sector that can help it take off.
Talking about bringing talent into the sector, for people who are listening, what do you see as the biggest growing areas of opportunity for people that would like to come into the ag sector?
Yeah, it's a good question because we get asked quite a lot, what are the different role types in agri-tech? Do you need an agri-sector background specifically to work in the agri-tech sector? So an obvious area that we've seen a massive rise in is in the demand for tech posts, software engineers, data specialists, AI that I mentioned before. And these are roles whereby more often than not, we're actually looking to bring in people from other sectors into the agri-tech sector. So if you're in one of those disciplines, you have transferable skills that the agri-tech sector requires. Another area that we're seeing a rise in at the moment is, so we do quite a lot of recruitment for sales roles in the agri-tech sector, and mostly speaking up until now, the demand has been for people with an agri-sector background. We're starting to see a little bit of a shift whereby companies are looking for salespeople and commercial people who actually have tech now. It's basically, maybe they've applied their trade in another tech sector, maybe they've sold a tech product or a software platform or something like that. So there's that increasing need there for people who maybe don't have an agri background but do have a background in the tech world, because that they are transferable skills. So overall, I'd say there's a massively growing need for tech people, whereby there is no need for an agri sector background, and some of these more commercially oriented roles that we're seeing as well. There is no longer always a demand for an agri background with those as well.
Well, you've mentioned a bit of a shift change there as to what employers are looking to. How do you and your team keep abreast of the new skills required by these employers?
Well, simply put, just by trying to immerse ourselves in the sector. There's no sort of magic wand or one thing that we do that allows us to keep abreast of the new skills that are in demand. We make a conscious effort, in addition to our day-to-day recruitment activities, to be active and be a presence in the sector. So that involves being part of the numerous membership bodies that are out there, such as Agri-EPI Centre, and there are a couple of others. Attending events, just generally trying to keep our finger on the pulse in terms of the way that the sector is moving. I guess the biggest way that we keep on top of the new skills and the trends in this sector is we learn from our clients. We still have clients who'll come to us and might throw a role at us that to us is a new one, or to us is a little bit out of left field. And normally we can work with the client to identify what they need and identify that skill set. So I guess we're in a lucky position because we're at the coalface really of what skill sets are currently in demand. We see it directly because of the clients that we work with. So yeah, immersing ourselves in the sector and learning from our clients as we go along is really how we do it.
With you learning from your clients, probably more and with your finger on the pulse, how is the agri-tech sector viewed by potential candidates who currently work, say, in banking, in finance, or in any other sector?
Well, I think there are still people that we talk to who, when we talk about agri-tech, it's almost it's a new thing to them. We get the response of, "Oh, I didn't realize this world existed. I didn't realize this was a potential career path for me." So there is still some of that, but that's probably less common. I think the agri-tech sector less common than it maybe would have been a couple of years ago. I think the agri-tech sector is growing to the point where it's now on people's radars. When we talk to people, it's generally not hard to sell the agri-tech sector. It's not hard to get people interested because it's a unique world. It's a world whereby there's an opportunity to benefit the whole planet. So normally when we start talking to people about the agri-tech sector, even if they hadn't come across it before, had never thought about it before, it's generally not too hard to whip up their interest or at least get their curiosity. In addition to that, we are finding that we do get a general flow of people who are approaching us because they want to work in the agri-tech sector. It's specifically caught their eye. It's specifically a direction that they want to go in. I think there's arguably a very socially conscious generation of people coming through at the moment, and they want to work in sectors like this. Typically, it's agri-tech and climate tech tend to be the two big sectors of desire that people want to get into. And again, that flow of people coming to us wanting to get involved in the agri-tech world is growing every day, basically. So I think the view from the outside is positive, and that's only going to grow and develop as time goes on.
You mentioned a couple of roles there, but what are the kinds of roles available that might surprise some people?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think as agri-tech becomes more known to people and people become more aware of it, there are you could say there are less roles that surprise people because people are starting to become more clued into what's going on in the agri-tech sector and the demands of it and the skill sets that are going to be required in this sector as it grows. But I think the one that would surprise people, coming back to what I was saying before, really, is people don't realise there's such a demand for tech people in agri-tech. It might sound obvious, agri-tech is surely going to need tech people, but often when I speak to software developers or data scientists or whatever it might be, the response we get is, well, I was aware of the agri-tech sector, but I never realised that there'd be a career for me in this world. You know, I might have looked at fintech, I might have looked at medtech, I might have looked at the energy sector, but I wouldn't necessarily have looked at the agri-tech world. So that's where we tend to see surprising people. You know, it's these tech disciplines that traditionally haven't been in demand in the agri sector that now are. That can surprise people sometimes. But I think that's changing. People are becoming more and more aware of it.
Which is great news for all the businesses that are trying to poach people from outside the sector. But in a very competitive marketplace, how does AgRecruit differentiate their services from other recruitment companies?
Yes, it's a great question. One thing that we're aware of, and one of our big challenges, is that we know there are loads and loads of recruitment agencies out there, you know, probably too many, if anything. And even just within the agri sector, there are a number of other agri specialist recruiters. But we like to think that we are bringing something to the table that's different from the other recruitment companies out there. We like to think that we're quite uniquely placed because we do have this foot in both camps approach, whereby we know the tech sector, but we also know the agri sector. So if you're an agri-tech company, I think we can quite validly claim that, differently to other recruitment companies out there, no matter what you're recruiting for, whether it's as I said before, a leadership position, a sales position, a tech position, you know, we can help you with that. I think one thing we bring to the table as well that's maybe different to other agri recruitment companies is that, in coming from outside of the sector and having this background in other sectors before we came into agritech, we have that outsider viewpoint. And I think sometimes that, you know, I guess we're a little bit imposters in the space in a way, you know, because we don't have the traditional farming background like many others do. But I actually see that as a positive. I think there is a need in the agritech sector for people who have worked and come from other sectors and can bring different viewpoints to the table, and that's what we have here at agritech. You know, we have that experience of having worked across other sectors, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't in other worlds, knowing how to attract people from other sectors, and we can now combine that with our agri-sector knowledge and networks to bring what I think is quite a unique set of skills to the table compared to other recruitment agencies out there.
That's great to hear. But looking ahead, Sam, how can Agri-EPI help AgRecruit achieve your aims for growth and development within the ag sector?
Well, I think Agri-EPI, it can and it does help us in a number of different ways. So I talked before about immersing ourselves in the agri-tech sector, and there are one or two companies that or organisations that we're members of, and Agri-Epicenter are right up there in terms of being one of the outfits or one of the organisations that I feel has been of most benefit to us, because Agri-Epicenter are so well connected. They're generally known by everyone in the agri-tech world, you know, more or less. So for us, it's a great way of keeping our finger on the pulse as to the movers and shakers in the sector, being able to have introductions facilitated, you know, with other companies in this world who might be interested in our services, or vice versa. Being associated with Agri-Epicenter generally brings us a degree of credibility, you know, and trust, maybe with other companies in the sector that also know or are a part of Agri-Epicenter. And it helps us become known to a relevant audience from doing things like this as well, you know. So I would say, and I've not been paid to say this, you know, I would say that for anyone, and this does not apply only if you work in recruitment, I think this applies if you have a genuine interest in the agri-tech world. If you're somebody who wants to become involved in this sector, maybe even if you aren't at the moment, or you're coming in from the outside and you want to start immersing yourself in this world, well, the agri-tech sector can be quite a small world, you know, so just becoming involved with the right bodies and the right organisations can help you to do that. And Agri-Epicenter is right up there as a company that you should be engaged with, and that's been a massive help and a leg up for us, really, as we've tried to establish and promote our brand and services in this world.
Well, thank you, Sam, and thank you for those kind words, and also for helping bring new skills and people into the ag sector. For those listening, I hope you enjoyed this seedling session. And if you'd like the opportunity to inform and inspire people across the Agri-Epicenter network via a seedling session, please contact us on www.agri-epicenter.com. Thank you.
Thank you.